Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you. Wherever you are, whatever time it is when you listen to this, welcome to my channel. Alright y'all, so this reading is going to be for Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. That's Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Uranus. Alright. And North. And North. I just remembered, right, during this reading that I got to correct some stuff on the other readings because I didn't put North on the other ones, right? Currently, we are in Saturn, right? Saturn retrograde. We just got out of Mercury being in retrograde, so we're in Saturn retrograde right now. Like we're fully out of it, the shadow period and everything. So Saturn got its microbraids in, right? Pay attention to your Saturn signs as well, um, just as a precursor. But ultimately, right, we're going to kick it off with the karma aspect of it, because the energy we're primarily in is in Saturn. Okay. All right. So, of course, not all readings are going to resonate with everyone. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. That simply means that this reading isn't for you. All right. And if it don't fit, don't force it. Just relax and let it go. Just 'cause that's how you want it doesn't mean it will be so. If it don't fit, don't force it. All right. So there's that. All right, so let's go ahead. Virgos. I'm not gonna focus on y'all completely on this reading, but y'all been kind of trying to bombard y'all way into the fixed signs reading. You're not a fixed sign, sweetheart. You're a mutable sign, which means you can go either way. And even if you are in the process of, yeah, you need to be more organized. If you're trying to fix something, that means that you weren't organized to begin with. You didn't take into account everything it is that will be going on, okay? So, Virgo, pay that some attention, all right? Okay. Yeah, y'all, that made me, I felt some type of way. During the fixed signs reading, it's like, okay, you're not a fixed sign, though. Why you trying to be something you're not? Don't do that. Please don't do that. You're you, and you're uniquely you. And that's okay. So, yeah, it's okay for you to be yourself and be mutable. But, in the mutable madness, it would identify, right? Yeah, kind of like the whole devil's advocate. But even in the devil's advocate, right, he had a fixed mindset, or there is a fixed mindset. So when we're talking about different laws that would be involved in varying things and all of that kind of stuff, right? Or can you go over the spiritual contract? No, I cannot go over the spiritual contract right now. That's not what we're doing during this reading. What we're doing during this reading is we're going to review what Saturn is bringing in. From there, we're going to go into what it is through the Gilded Tarot, right? So it's giving some of the traditional mindsets that will come in. And then we're going to review, last but not least, what it is that will be clearing out. Okay, that's what we're going to do. We're not going to do it the way Virgo wants to do it because Virgo has some control issues going on right now. Part of the reason why Virgo is having definitively control issues is because it's in their axis. Okay, and during the Virgo Pisces axis is realistically going to be about what it is that you would have done at a young age to get you to old age and whether or not it's working for you. All right. So, yeah, Gemini, Sagittarius, and Pisces. I'm going to try not to focus too much on Virgo essence. But with Virgo essence coming up so much, what it will be highlighting for you, especially if you're older, what it is that you would have done as a young adult and the perspective it is that you would have had as a young adult and whether or not it's something that you would need to reconsider and review. Okay. All right. I just heard somebody say I'm a hierophant. so that would mean one of two things. What I'm getting from it would either be about being in that whole higher vibration, of divine masculine, divine feminine essence, and paying attention to what divine feminine and divine masculine essence really is. Not necessarily in regards to just your opposing, or not opposing, I don't want to use the word opposing. Heard you could use it for now if you have to, okay. But it's not going to be just for the opposing, it'll be for the counterpart. Not just for the counterpart, that's a better word. Not just for the counterpart, right, of man and woman, or even man and man, woman and woman. Those things don't matter. Yeah, because sexuality and gender, that's not what's under review right now. What's under review is behaviors and thought processes and things of that nature. That's what you need to focus on, right? Yeah, stop worrying about what's going on. And if you in the Alchemist Cove, you're not gonna be worrying about what's going on in somebody else's bedroom. Okay, there are plenty of other readers who are a lot better at that than I am. I don't like getting into it a lot, even though I do know where it would fit in varying aspects. But I don't like getting into that a whole lot because, yeah, it can make things difficult. Now, if it comes up, we'll discuss it. But if it doesn't, yeah, ain't no need in bringing unnecessary confusion. That's that part. Now, on the other portion of this, one of the things that it is coming to me to speak about is the difference between doing business with a man versus doing business with a woman. The difference between doing business with a boy versus doing business with a girl. These are mindsets that are aligned with maturity and totality, right? And whether or not one has a humanitarian viewpoint. Now, that in that regard, uh, I say what you have to. That's where the, I don't know why I want to say microcosm. Yeah, because that, I don't know if that word really fits right now. But yeah, microcosm and dichotomy, and what it's given is you need to have a vocabulary lesson. Look up the varying aspects that come into place with vocabulary, how you speak, and how it is that you do things. Okay, so let's kick into this and see what planet it is that's you would need to focus on a little bit. Uh, no, because what I'm hearing now is, but we already know, because that'd be that Virgo stuff, and that can mess up the reading for everybody else. What I may have to do is excuse the Virgos from this, yeah, because you're in a lower vibration, and if you're in a lower vibration, I need you out. I can't do it right now. That would indicate her you okay, but that would indicate you're not ready. You're not ready. You need a timeout. You're not ready. Mars is a planet that's going to have a lot of major influence right now. So that's going to be right off the bat how it is you view. I was just going to say you either view setting yourself apart versus being competitive, right? Yeah, if you want to compete, Alchemist Cove ain't for you. We don't do competitions over here. We only compete against ourselves. Realistically, it's you versus you. Being a better you today than you were yesterday. All right. Yeah, because it's given what it is to be a problematic student. That whole thinking you know everything. And in those regards, that's not really good. That's not a good mindset to have, especially considering on this journey we call life, period. You should learn something new every day, even if it's just adding on to it. And that 9/11 just went past. It gripped me. Even if it's an emergency, because when you're in emergency situations, and even within it, talking about the twin towers, meaning it being tower moment after tower moment that can or will come into place, you need to be mindful of what leads to a tower moment. Now, tower moments, as you all know, for me, I don't necessarily see them as bad things, but what they do allow for you to do is review your situation and your thought processes that come into place with it, right? But it's Mars in Gemini in the 8th house. So before we dig into it, yeah, because I've already gone 10 minutes in trying to explain stuff to just Virgo alone. And that's not fair. That's not fair at all, Virgo. You're being very selfish and you're being very rude. Now, if this is on the teenager aspect, yeah, it being teens, that's a little bit different because they would need more attention, right? But if you're an adult and you're in that energy, that's the narcissism that'll come into place because everything isn't about you. Even the world it is that you create wouldn't be just about you. It would be how it is you will correlate and infuse and include others into your world and what the standard is for a person to be a part of your world. It's also given I want to be where the people are. Uh, Archangel Ariel. That's what that's given. And do you know? Yeah, I heard say whatever you have to, baby, because that whole you can't. Well, you can say it, but it's not fruitful nor is it wise to compete on the angelic aspect because that shows that you're not in an angelic mind state. Especially if you haven't taken the time to review and compare and even contrast the difference in Ma'at, the 48 laws of power, and even constitutional law paired with the principalities that are associated with what would constitute as an angelic nature or an angelic culture, and what angels are associated with each zodiac. In short, if you don't even want to do that, then you're not at that level yet. Okay? There's nothing wrong with not being at that level. You just have to acknowledge where it is you can have improvement. Being controlling, that means there's room for improvement. 1, 2, 3, 4, as I said that. So hopefully someone's going through an ascension within me saying these things. Um, I heard it's also giving mother wounds. It is giving mother wounds. And if you have mother wounds, and why it is you would have those mother wounds. So, yeah. In any event, so we got Mars and Gemini in the 8th house. So the spiritual aspect, okay, guys? The drive for information to explain as a life or death issue. I'll read it again. Spiritual aspect of the drive for information to explain as a life or death issue. Some people, this is going to be genuinely pertaining to the spirit of a vehicle. And when I say a vehicle, it could be an actual vehicle or it could be a person being a vessel, right? That, yeah, gets things moving and going. So with me hearing that Hierophant, yeah, it'll be about the facilitation of spiritual information and what it is your experience in that spiritual information would be, okay? The mental aspect is going to be the confronting of, so this is going to be some things that'll be going on in your mind, guys, all right? The confronting of, I sorry, you was real calm with them before, weren't you? Yeah, and then during some of the situations. Yeah, no, because what I was hearing was, "Ho, right? Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Fifth." But in any event, no, yeah, I was really calm. And then in the funneling of emotions, and when a person knows that you're an empath, telepath, uh, clairvoyant, clairaudio. Now, there is a difference between being clairaudio and being telepathic. Clairaudio means you can hear the conversations. Telepathic means you can communicate what the person that will be focusing on you is thinking, and you could repeat what it is they're saying. That's a part of that, is that spell work, but that's also indicative of eighth house situation. So check your eighth houses too, ladies and gentlemen. But the confronting of communications about getting and using power. The confronting of communications about getting and using power. When you have the power, what did you do with it? Or what do you do with it? Okay, are you wasteful? Because if you're selfish, you might be a little bit wasteful too. I'm not saying that they're synonymous with one another, but they can be. Okay, the physical portion, right, that you would be under review would be the action resulting from the fluctuations of the use of other people's resources. In short, I heard how they would have lost when you call your power back. Yeah, when you call your power back from people, them not understanding exactly the degree or the amount of power it was that a person would have put into you, or as a resource. Yeah, so this is giving a whole energy vampire thing. One of the things, yeah, because with this particular reading, the deviant way of doing things, right? The deviant moon tarot wanted to come out a lot. Yeah, but even in those, that is to highlight things for you that's inside of you, right? And even in that regard, I said thank you. Yeah, you'll be amazed. Saying thank you is an acknowledgement. I just heard something about, and I promise to pay with loyalty. I didn't say that. That's what I heard, y'all. But for you, it may be, but for others, it may not be. uh, because I'm just doing this reading, I'm not gonna say whether I agree or disagree. But what I will say is that's a very excellent point that was made. And the reason why I don't agree or disagree is word spells, absolutely, but also a person would be loyal to within themselves. So if a, yeah, because if a person is loyal to hurting themselves and being, then these next cards out, and being a betrayer, right? Whether that's a part of, I don't know if that's a part of a person's spiritual path, right? But the betrayal that comes with, in this regard, it'll be about theft. But the justice and the balance that comes into place with ending theft, the other part of it will be about the ending a strategy. How it is balance and justice will end a strategy. Let me go ahead and say this. Yeah, because justice is a woman. It's a feeling. It's not necessarily only a doing. It's called emotion. Okay? And then what goes on in it? Ooh, stealing an offer. And what it is that goes on with the strategy for offers. Okay, so yeah, because whenever I get immutable energy, is the perplexities, but also the complexity that comes into place with, if you're a visual learner versus being a visual manifester, and what those things would mean. Yeah, like if you're literal or figurative. Absolutely. Now, what will be coming in as an influence is illusions and opportunities, and the month of July, right? The different illusions it is that will come into place. Yeah, or the illusion of betrayal. Yeah, and sure, one of those, I don't even want to look like I'm, yeah, I don't even want to look like I'm ending stuff. I don't even want to look like I'm betraying a person, right? And some of this is going to be at the highest vibration, how things would have ended how the ending of the strategy, it would have been of a year within one being out of conflict and one not being victorious. Part one. The other part of it would be about one not being it not being policy. I was about to say police, but the word policy is what's coming in. Yeah, it not being a fixed mindset or policy. Now, what will be coming in for us, alchemy, right, people? It'll be about the incoming victories, the tradition of looking victorious or there being victory in regards to one being out of conflict with the high priestess holding things within themselves and there not being enlightenment of one not being a lover and there being codependence in regards to the investment in the community. That's one portion. Within the incoming aspect, it'll be about the conflicts with what it is that one would have known about a lover. Known about a lover, knowing about being a lover in regards to one being single or independent. One of the things, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, let me go ahead and tell y'all this right now. Oh, who just said that? I heard Moneybag Yo, and I see why. No, because what I just heard was Moneybag Yo, don't start, okay? You behave yourself. I heard no, say what you have to because they out of pocket. Okay, in the Virgo aspect, first and foremost, I personally have always found it ironic, right, that Virgos would have any issues with Geminis to any capacity. I heard, thank you, you're welcome. Primarily because you all share the same planet. You're essentially the same persons, only in different execution. Just the same as the energy would shift with Gemini and Virgo easily. It does the same thing with Sagittarius and Gemini. It's the same principles that come into place. Even though they're not a part of the same planet, they're, as I call them, brother signs, right? As far as the communications and things of that nature, I just heard some motherfuckers just like being brutal. Some people do like brutal, but brutality doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be harsh because think of it like this, y'all, okay? Y'all, I know y'all gonna handle things however you're going to handle them, okay? But think of it like this. Think of your grandmama, right? Think of your grandmama or even on the motherboard. If they were to correct you, when they would have corrected you, all they would have needed to do is just tap you, right? Yeah, and it will destroy your whole little world. Like, oh, why would you do that? You just ruined it, right? So it's the calmness, right? And the not giving the energy it is that it wants. Okay? All right. I just heard you a good one. Thank you. Um, thank you. I appreciate it. It wasn't intentionally for me to be a good one. It was just intentionally for me to regain sense of balance, of sense of self. Especially when, just think of it like this. I was playing a game with my auntie, right? Uh, and it was like Jenga, right? Have you ever noticed what happens in the game Jenga? When you move certain blocks, it makes it unstable. And if you move too many blocks from one space, yeah, then it'll come and you rebuild it on top. Think of it like that. And when a person would have already removed too many building blocks and they're trying to rebuild something on top of it, it makes it, yes, it makes it unstable foundation. Part one. Part two. One of the things it is that comes into place with having a stable foundation, every foundation starts with a thought, and the person who initially owned the thoughts will her outside of soul tribe. No, that's different. That's different. And there's a difference between owning a individual thought and there being collective consciousness. Because within the collective consciousness, this is where that seven of swords essence comes into place. In collective consciousness is the divine guidance of thought versus stealing. The other part of it that, all right, I get you now. Cool. Um, Now in the stealing aspect is if a person didn't have no idea what was going on, and then in that regard, they stealing from everybody in it. Absolutely. If they had no idea and it wasn't a part of it, like at all, or they're not giving credit, that's where you stealing from everybody. That's a part of that collective and that collective consciousness portion. And that's the reason why there's no need to review the spiritual contract, because you're not reciprocating with everyone. You're reciprocating with who you pick and choose, whether they're a part of that collective consciousness or not. And the reality is, I always say what you have to. Yeah, the reality is, if they're not a part of that collective consciousness or a part of that collective, they do deserve crumbs because they need just enough so that they can go to their next portion or to their next space. Does that make sense? Okay. Uh, which reminds me what it is that I know I'm going to do after this. Yeah, because I protect my collective. And I have been protecting even those people who are a part of the collective who would constitute as karmic but showed promise to shift and change their ideal sets. Yeah, when I said it last time, I gave motherfuckers a year. After they knew that we were a part of the same tribe, you got a year. And if you didn't do what you needed to do in that year, no, I'm not going to keep doing that. Think of it like this. Yeah, because, I am connected on the musical aspect with a record deal. And LL Cool J was coming through beforehand. But with LL Cool J, right, I like him. And when y'all make him mad, I'll be like, why y'all making Lady Love mad? Leave him alone. Yeah, because he's bad. Anyway, y'all. But, in his contract, right, he had to do 10 albums, right? Now, say for instance, he did those 10 albums in 1 year. Whatever was a part of that contract, he would have fulfilled it all. Regardless of how long the contract was supposed to be in place, he would have done his part. Now, if the record companies hadn't done their part, yeah, he could have took them to court and sued them. Absolutely. Because he met what it is that he had going on. Okay? Now, in regards to what it is that's being shown, what it's giving is that there would have been, yeah, it would have been some spiritual court situations that would have come in to place to provide this balance due to the justice that comes into place at the lowest level of betraying or portraying theft, part one. The other part of this at the mid level, 10 days, right, of spiritual guidance. The highest level, it'll be about the initiation of the supernatural to know where one is guided for a year or guided for their offers so that there wouldn't be any conflicts and things of that nature, and what it is that would have happened with, or what it is that happens when one's out of conflict, right? Yeah, versus one being in conflict. And sure, when one has a warmongering, This is what this is about with that Mars. And when Mars went retrograde, was it in 2025 in April? I want to say it was March and April of 2025. Yeah, because here's the deal: how you gonna be a competitive person, yet if you're not even skilled in what you competing in? No, because now I'm hearing that's my verse though. Oh, all I see is me versus me. Don't see competition. Why would you compete? Yeah, because in the morning you looking at yourself in the mirror, and even if you have children, right, you looking at reflections of who it was you were and things you would like to teach them. So opposed to you saying, if I knew then what I know now, you can just tell them so they don't have to say that. They can move in wisdom, right? All right. So Ace of Cups, Six of Swords, Queen of Pentacles. In short, the love moving, one's self love moving, the Queen of Pentacles, and the movements. A month of movement within one being emotionally stable, physically stable, and feeling stable, right? Yeah, even with the whole Capricorn essence that would, and what it is to be and feel emotionally stable. On this particular, I'm in the White Sage Tarot, y'all. It's two elements. In short, when you do something to someone, and even if they have gifts, right, intuitive gifts, because parents, you guys will get this, right? More so because your child will remind you, or they'll ask you questions about certain situations. Yeah, especially if you're trying to wipe somebody's memory clean. No, 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 those spells don't work for real. And to be honest with you, uh, MK Ultra, I wouldn't even necessarily say it'll be about MK Ultra because you'll remember everything. Even the mind has a way of protecting itself, but children bring out what it is you would like, that they need clarity on for their lives for later on. So something else that this is giving is, if you were a kid and you would have asked a question about why something would have happened, but in this whole Queen of Pentacles aspect, right, and there being this smaller elephant and the offer of stability that will come into place with recognition and being recognized. The other thing is how it is a month of organizing one thoughts in the higher self of what it is they would have desired as inspiration. And there being strength, right? Or Leo essence. Definitive Leo essence, not planetary Leo essence. So it's that. And then there being the communication of the Knight of Wands. Communication of however you want to put this. Yeah, because yeah, in the Virgo aspect, the whole Knight of Wands, they would like, and that's kind of odd. Yeah, because in the Virgo aspect, on the energetic side, I've seen it happen more than it would in the Scorpion aspect. In the Virgo aspect, they would think about the sexuality aspect of Knight of Wands and being a fuck boy or a fuck girl. Whereas in the Scorpion aspect, they would want connectivity and deep emotional bond to come into place, which is kind of counter to what it is that would go on with things. I'm just saying as it's coming out right now. The other part of it, it'll be about Sagittarius communication, sun, moon, or rising. Definitely when a teenager would be inspired to communicate. And there being strength. Yeah, let me go ahead and talk about this real quick. Yeah, because with in the teenager aspect is given the Why do fools fall in love? Seems okay. Some of the most of me. Why do they fall in love? Well, primarily because you don't know how to make a definitive decision about, and yeah, I just heard about the draws. Yeah, about your draws, how you want to stick stuff in places. In short, the responsibility that comes into place with certain activities. That's one of them. The other thing, right, on the alchemical aspect, from the traditions of things, it would be about when your world is turned upside down and you have to remember and recall everything it is that you learn so the same mistakes don't be made from when you were a teenager versus when you were an adult. And if you have attachments and stuff like that, absolutely. What type of attachments it is that you will have. So some of the attachments is gonna be, yeah, some of the attachments is gonna be, they could be good, they could be bad. Now let's focus on the good ones because that's what you want more of coming out. And the good attachments, right? It'll be about those individuals who, if for the masculine aspect, providing, not necessarily how it is they provide it. Say, for instance, well, yeah, like, because this is given like gun salesmen and stuff like that. It wouldn't, yeah, the way that that could transfer for you with being an arms dealer. Yeah, it would working out in fitness, absolutely. And you making money that way, and that would be a way that it can transmute and stuff like that. Um, her, damn, you smart. Thank you very much. I try to be. I try to be. Yeah, spirit helps me. Another thing would be if you're a street pharmacist, uh, taking what you learn through street pharmacy and agriculture, and not even necessarily taking it to a pharmaceutical level, but the herbalist level that'll come into place with it, because pharmaceutical companies, they send their top people across seas to learn what herbs and medicines it is that would need to be used, and then to the masses, yeah, they produce a synthetic or a fake alternative to the real thing. So if you know what the real thing is, I'm hoping that helps you a little bit. Okay. All right. So light and love to y'all. Okay. I'm going to seal this reading as a summary. Pay attention to, uh, yeah, I'll read it over. The spiritual aspect of the drive for information to explain as a life or death issue, especially if you're doing like a presentation or something, it's really going to be highlighting, check your Capricorn placements. Yeah, because that may be where you might be getting some stuff mixed up. Okay. Um, and when I say Capricorn placements, like check the structure, check the buildings, check the structure, the buildings, uh, and when I say I'm saying building, but the building blocks, ensure what it is that would have created it. And then the mental aspect of the confronting of communications about getting and using power. All right, hey baby, you know what's going on, don't you? I do. Because in that whole communications aspect and getting you people having power over the emails it is, and people reading a lot of the different emails and stuff that would go on, and the action resulting from the fluctuations of the use of other people's resources. So the action that comes into place with other people when people use other people. Okay, or when you have people as resources and they start asking too alarming questions, and when they ask alarming or alerting questions. Yep. All right, so light and love to y'all, okay? Because see, remember, light work, it ain't light work. It is not light work. Oh, I just heard, I love you. I love you. I love you too. Oh, Is that the little Virgos that I know? Is those the Virgo risings and the little tiny Virgos that I know? I love y'all too. Y'all be good, okay? Yeah, cause the way that stuff was coming out, I'm a Virgo sun. My bad, my bad. Shout out to you too, cause it's not very many Virgos in pause. It is they're coming more into fruition now. So allow me in that regard. Allow me time to adjust. Okay, y'all. As things are clearing out in our collective and in our soul tribe. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you all. Light and love to you, okay? Because, see, remember, light work, it ain't light work. It is not light work. Love is soft and it is kind. And it doesn't have to be really hard. It really don't. It really don't. All right. And then that way, you can stay light while you work.